Welcome, my friends. Welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It is Thursday, March 2nd. We are here live. It is a free-for-all today, and I'll tell you what, I don't have a whole lot. Got a couple things I'll open with. All I'm really doing is waiting for some phone calls, so line them up. If you don't, I might start my weekend early. So phones are open. Jump in and join me, 855-950-3835. We are getting ready to hit the road. So I could use all the time I can get, but I'll wait for some calls. Jump in, 855-950-3835. A couple things I do want to talk about. This is no big deal, but I just happened to see an announcement that one of the bypass services for the scales, where you use the transponders, they teamed up where you get some deal on legal services. I didn't even realize this was still being pushed in the industry. I haven't seen that in quite some time. When I was doing a lot of accounting, these legal service companies would hound me constantly. They wanted me to sign up, and I'd make so much money for everybody we sold these legal services to. They were very, very aggressive marketers. I never understood this concept whatsoever. This idea of paying for a service ahead of time, month after month after month, not knowing if I'll ever really need that service or not. And if I don't use it, I just lose the money. What is the point? What's the logic behind doing this? The only service that really works like this is insurance. And we should only be using insurance for things that are so big, we wouldn't be able to handle them ourselves. That's when we should be willing to risk some money ahead of time, risk small amounts of money ahead of time in order to protect ourselves from very large amounts of money later on. For example, you have insurance on your vehicle. Most of us do. Most people do anyway. You have to have at least liability. That's not what I'm talking about. Comprehensive coverage. You're required to have it if you have a loan on the vehicle. If you don't have a loan on the vehicle, you could choose whether to have it or not. The idea being, cars are really expensive. If your car burns down, somebody steals it, it's in an accident and completely totaled, that's a lot of money to have to take out of your pocket. So we have insurance to cover that. But we don't use insurance to cover replacing our brakes when they wear out. All of those kinds of programs, and they exist out there, they're a really bad idea. That you will always lose money on these kinds of deals. So same with our home. I mean, those are big expenses. We screwed up health insurance with this same concept. We should have very, very high deductibles on our health insurance, at least $5,000. I've always carried $10,000 up until the time I just ditched health insurance completely and went to a MedShare program. But when I did, I had $10,000 deductibles. When we try to use insurance-like arrangements to handle these tiny expenses, it just doesn't make sense. And I've always wondered why anybody would sign up for one of these prepaid legal services. If anybody out there has one and they feel like it's actually been a good idea and saved them money, I'd love to hear about it. Why not just wait until you get a ticket or a violation? If you do, I mean, I had so few tickets or violations in my time, and the ones that I had were legitimate. I'm not going to go fight a ticket if I was truly speeding and got a ticket. Just pay the damn ticket. So I just didn't see the need. How bad of a driver are you that you think you're going to get this many violations that you should be paying for them ahead of time? Why not wait until you get a violation and then just go look for an attorney when you need one? I've never really understood the concept of these, but they were aggressively marketed for several years, and then I didn't really see them much anymore. But maybe they're making a comeback now. I'm not sure. Let me check. I want to see if we have any calls. I think we've got some coming in. Something else, not a big deal yet, but it always catches my attention when I see these things in the news, because for the last 3 years, there's been lots of stories like this. So this all kind of started with the initial COVID lockdowns, and then we were getting a lot of COVID breakouts in the meat packing plants. Then they started talking about shortages, and then we had the whole pig farms that flooded in the southeast. Then we went on to the chickens. Now we have avian flu, and we're losing chickens, and then chickens stopped laying eggs. These are the most nutritious food sources we have, animal products, and they seem to be under threat. And there seems to be new threats constantly. And I just saw another one yesterday. There seems to be some sort of tick-borne disease that's spreading around the U.S. and killing cattle. If you don't have a pretty good stock of food, I would get one. I'll even tell you where one of the... Now, I've always said the best thing you can do is go get a pressure canner, learn how to can your own meat, start canning meat, get yourself about a year or two ahead, because home canned meat will easily last for 2 years. I still have stuff that I canned probably 5 years ago, still good. That to me is the best way. You control the quality of the meat. You control the ingredients that go in. But if you want the easy, quick way and food that's shelf stable for 25 years, there's a company called Cave Creek, and they make beef, pork, chicken, turkey. I think they have ground beef, all canned in a way that, and it's just meat and salt is all that goes into there. Now, it's going to be, factory farmed meat. I'm not too worried about that, but I keep several cases of that stuff around. That's really long term. It's just, I'm a little worried about our food supply. There's been a lot of signs recently that things aren't all that stable with our food. Let's get to some phone calls. Let's go to Ohio to get started today. Roger, welcome to the program.
Hello?
Yes, what's on your mind today?
Okay, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, sorry, glitched for a second. Okay, my wife has been diagnosed with gallstones. They say there's one kind of stuck in the neck, whatever that is, of the gallbladder. It is they're saying it's not inflamed, but it's distended. She's got a lot of discomfort in her abdomen, and so the only option they're giving is bladder removal.
That's the only option they know. They don't know how to do anything other than cut people and poison them with drugs. Before we go any further, tell me about her diet.
Okay. Grew up on a dairy farm, so like the first 20-some years, drank whole milk right out of the tank. Basic farm diet. A lot of stuff grown and raised on the farm. She's in her mid-50s now. The last 15 years, she's done the pescatarian, which is, kind of Mediterranean with fish. Very seldom eats meat. But on the last, since last fall, coming into the holidays, she kind of really, first time ever, kind of went back and ate, she probably ate more meat in the last 4 months than she has in the last 6 years.
What about
or 10 years?
What about grains?
She does eat some grains, breads. She does eat breads, some breads.
Yeah,
we don't do much store-bought stuff. The last couple of years, she's been canning like crazy.
So she's got a good
and our garden is...
She's got a good start. I'll tell you why, even though eating a pescatarian diet with mostly whole food, she still had problems. She still has grains in her diet. Any amount of grains is so destructive to our health that I just tell people at some point, if you can't get the grains and the seed oils out of your diet, there's no point working with us. They are that destructive to our health. Those two things, the corn oil, canola oil, cottonseed oil, we could go on and on and on, all these seed oils that are used, they've got to go, and the grains have to go. And she was eating a very low-fat diet. Unless you're loading up with salmon and tuna, all the rest of the seafood is... What's that?
She does eat a lot of salmon and tuna.
Okay, that helps.
And mostly olive oils. There's no industrial corn oils or anything in our house. We don't go to Kroger's or anything like that hardly at all. Most all of our food is whole foods that come from either our garden or from farmers markets.
Okay. One thing I can tell you, I've really never found many cases of gallstones without a low-fat diet. If our gallbladder is being used every day because we eat plenty of fat in our diet, that's what activates our gallbladder to work. So when they say there's a stone in the neck is kind of like the fuel injector. So the gallbladder squeezes and it squeezes bile out through that neck. And if that is happening every day the way it's supposed to, you can't build up those stones. But when the gallbladder isn't being used because there's just not enough fat in the diet, then that's when that bile just sits there and starts to crystallize and we get these stones. So we've been so brainwashed into this whole fat thing that even people who think they're not eating a low-fat diet really are. We don't realize how much good fat should be in the human diet. So there are protocols. I mean, if she's willing to work with a practitioner, there are protocols to dissolve the stones. If it's not inflamed, if the doctor isn't saying this is an emergency, it's infected, we've got to get this thing out, then in my opinion, it's worth it to work with a practitioner, work on a protocol to get rid of them. But I would also be adding, and here's where the good fats come in. When you say she started eating more meat, that's what we've got to do. It's really hard to get enough fat without eating beef and pork and whole chickens, where we're eating the skin and the dark meat and every bit of. That's where we're going to get our good fats.
Okay. I don't think she's going to go to a keto diet or eat a lot of meats. So
then she needs
load
to
up more on
load up on the olive oil, the salmon, the tuna, coconut oils, butter, all the other good fats. Then
we buy olive oil by the big tins. Good. We don't buy like a small bottle at a time.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
How about butter?
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Pardon?
How does she feel about butter?
She uses it, no problems.
Good.
No problems using butter in her cooking.
When I was, if you were making fish, it should be swimming in butter.
I don't think she does a lot on that.
I would.
On fish.
Yeah, anywhere she can get it in her diet. But if you're going to cook fish, it's such a low-fat food. Why not cook it in butter? It tastes a lot better. So yeah, just
right.
She's got to get those fats in. I mean, like I said, I just seldom see this in somebody who's eating the proper amounts of fat in their diet.
Okay. What her symptoms are is
she should. No, I know what all the symptoms are of gallstones. They're all the same. So she's got them. We verified she has them. We don't even really need to go through symptoms. They've done the scan. We know they're there. So now I'm telling you how to get rid of them. We know they're there. Here's how we're going to get rid of them. So she's got to focus on the good fats. She also should be looking at list of low oxalate foods, and we've also got to get good mineral balance. So several things occur here to cause this, but they're all based on the standard American diet. The grains, the reason we have to get rid of them, they're destructive to our digestive system, but those grains also all have phytates and lectins and oxalates that bind to minerals and carry them out of our body. We already have a hard enough time getting good minerals because our soil's been depleted. And now on top of that, the grains in our diet bind to those minerals so our body can't access them. And So two things occur. One, the gallbladder's not working enough. And two, we have a mineral imbalance, which allows the oxalate stones to start forming. If we had the proper mineral balance, the minerals would be going into the bones and everywhere else where we need them, and they wouldn't be forming stones.
Well, what we've been told too is that there's more than one composition of the stone. It could be cholesterol or it could be mineral.
It's not
or
cholesterol.
Calcium.
It's not cholesterol. It's calcium oxalate.
Okay. Now the doctor was kind of puzzled because she wasn't presenting with symptoms he thought she should be having. She's got pain. She'll feel like somebody punched her in the back. And then she's got this distended stomach.
Those sound about it.
Kind of thing.
I'm not sure why the doctor's surprised. Those are the kind of
there's no jaundice, no jaundice, no yellowing, anything like that. One of the things.
Hold on. Hold on.
Okay.
The gallbladder itself has nothing to do whatsoever with jaundice symptoms. I don't know if he explains things wrong. Jaundice is caused by a poorly functioning liver, not gallbladder. The liver and the gallbladder work together for bile, but the gallbladder has... Right, but that's bile. I mean, does she have really poor liver numbers? Did they run liver test? Did they run a panel? She must have...
So, as far as everything they did, everything, and I think they did a panel on that, on blood and everything, that all of those things looked good.
Then I don't know why the doctor would expect to see jaundice symptoms in somebody who has a gallbladder issue and good liver numbers.
Right. I do not know either. But anyway, it's just kind of, she wants to just go ahead and get it done because she's sort of talked to enough other people that, that it's no problem. You'll get back to normal, no problem.
No, you won't.
But that's not true.
It's absolutely not true.
You won't.
That's a lie. Nobody I've ever... Well, I shouldn't say that. Occasionally, we get people who say they've had their gallbladder out and they don't really have digestive problems. But then the more we work with them, the more we find out they do. People don't understand that we shouldn't be walking around feeling our digestive system all day long. We shouldn't have pain after we eat. We shouldn't be belching. We shouldn't feel bloated. We shouldn't be bouncing back and forth from constipation to diarrhea. But that's become common for people, and they think they have normal digestion. And we start finding out that we really start asking them about their symptoms, and they have horrible digestion. They're just so used to it, they think it's normal.
Right. Yeah, I can understand that. They just think, well, that's my normal.
It's not normal, though.
Not good.
The best thing I can say about my digestive system after I finally fixed it was I don't know that I have a digestive system. It's just there. It just works.
Right.
There's no weight. There's no pain. There's no discomfort. There's no weird symptoms. I don't have to run to the bathroom. It very regular. It's just there and it works. And it's kind of like my heart. I don't know that my heart's there doing its job. I don't know that my liver's functioning properly. I don't feel it. Why do we think it's okay to feel our digestive system being uncomfortable all day?
Right. Yeah, she thinks her gallbladder's working properly because one thing they asked her about was her stool, and she goes, it's normal.
It's not functioning properly. You wouldn't have stones.
Yeah, but her stool, when she looks at it in the toilet, it looks fine. It looks normal shape, color, everything.
Okay. Roger,
saying that,
Roger, here's what it really, really comes down to. We can argue this stuff back and forth all day long. What it really comes down to is if anybody is okay with the results they're getting from the medical system, if she's okay with her doctor saying you have stones, this is the only thing to do, and she doesn't want to give up the grains and she would just rather have the organ removed, then that's what she should do.
No, she would no problem giving it. She limits her grains. I'll say that. She does limit it, but not 100%.
So, in my opinion, we've come down to one decision when it comes to our health. We're either going to stick with the standard medical doctors and their advice, or we're not. We're going to go take control of our own health. There really is no in between. Once that gallbladder comes out, now she's going to have to fight the rest of her life to keep her digestion normal, which also means she won't be getting proper nutrition. If we can't digest our food properly, we can't get proper nutrition. I live with somebody who lost their gallbladder a long time ago. I see this every day, and that's with me here guiding it, trying to improve it. We can't replace the function of these organs. We do the best we can, but once they're gone, they're gone. We can never get that function back.
That's what we have discussed, both of us.
We have no spare parts in our body. There are no parts in our body that we should be living without. Every one of them have a function. And when we lose a part, we lose that function.
So if that gallstone is blocking right now, is there like kidney stones, ultrasonic? What's a way to dissolve that gallstone? Is there a way to
the protocol? That's what the protocol.
Okay.
And I don't. There are some protocols we do not publish and just say, here, go try this. We put out a ton of protocols to help people on their own. We publish it. Here's how you do it. Here it is, step by step. If somebody's had problems with stomach acids, they've been on PPIs for years, we give them every step. Here, just go do it. It works. If they need to fix their fat digestion, we have a protocol. We just give it to people. Here it works. We have some that they're not that straightforward. They require trying something and monitoring what's going on and then adjusting and then monitoring and adjusting. And if you do them improperly, they're not dangerous per se, but they can cause people a lot of discomfort. You may have heard me say we don't put out detox protocols because of that. I've seen a lot of people go through a lot of discomfort because they do detox wrong. Now, I am working, I'm not yet. When I finish the projects that I've been struggling to get out the door this last year, then one of my next projects will be a detox. All we hear about anymore, all these chemicals, train derailments, chemicals everywhere. We need to be able to detox on a regular basis, and I'm going to work on a mild, constant detox that maybe you're doing, 2 or 3 times a month just to keep detox. But it's got to be that, we can just do it and nobody's going to, really be uncomfortable with it. So that's our gallstone and kidney stone protocol. We don't just put it out there and say, here, try this.
Okay, so I can find some things on Let's Truck and Destination Health.
Well, what you would do is start with the. No, I'm saying we don't publish that. That's what I'm saying. We don't. You're not going to find it there. In order to get that protocol, it's with the discovery call and a one-on-one.
Got it. Okay, got it. Okay, I can go to the website and do that then.
Yeah.
See if she would like to do that. Okay. Sounds good. I appreciate all your time. I've listened to you a long time and on a lot of things. I like the format now better after you're getting all the technical glitches out.
Yeah. We're getting close. I've been told that I might.
I'm in the middle of a.
Go ahead.
Yeah, listening in the middle of somebody's answer, and then it clicks over to another program or something every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm being told I might have my broadcast app by the end of this month, so I'm kind of excited about that.
Great. Well, yeah, I could talk to you about a lot of things, especially like the detox thing with what's in our water everywhere, just from pharmaceutical residues that everybody pees out and gets in the water. It's just terrible. Nobody realizes, I don't think, how bad it really is.
Well, the other thing they don't think about, 80% of, I think it's 80% of all the antibiotics produced in the world, if I remember right, because we don't really produce antibiotics anymore. China does. But 80% of the antibiotics are used on farm animals. And then farm animals and all that waste from those animals is going back into our soil and our ground and our groundwater.
Yeah, I farmed, did the regular chemicals, raised turkeys, hogs, all I was going to say hundreds or thousands at a time. We had the big poultry barns. We had
Oh, yeah.
large barns for putting in bucket calves,
Yeah.
little bull calves. And first thing they would do is we would doctor the heck out of them. Why are we doing that? Well, it's preventative. And
Right.
it was like, well, they look healthy. And, and it was because of the way they were being handled and everything. I mean, it was just amazing. And I wouldn't go back to that for anything.
Well, and just like us, we eat food that isn't human food. It's not part of our diet, grains included. That is not human food. We eat that, and then we're so sick, we need a bunch of pharmaceuticals to keep us from not being sick. We do the same thing to our farm animals. Cows eat one thing. One thing. That's it. That is the only food in their natural diet is grass, nothing else.
Yeah.
So when we feed them anything other than grass, then we have to give them a bunch of pharmaceuticals to keep them alive.
Right. I tell you real quick, I was doing on-farm energy audits for some programs 5 years ago or so. I did it for a couple of years. And I would go mainly dairies, and I would go to large dairies that had anywhere from 1,500 to 2,500 dairy cows on it, all housed under roof, always on concrete or rubber mats.
Yeah.
They were, and then I would go to a farm in West Virginia that was all like Organic Valley, something like that. Their milk went to that. And, we would look down over the, over the hill, and there would be these cows just grazing, all grass fed, all everything. And you couldn't believe how much easier those cows, you could just watch them walk and see how much easier they walked and everything. It was amazing.
I don't praise California for much of anything, but I do like the fact that when California came up with the whole happy cow slogan, I kind of like that. I want to see happy cows. I want to see cows out in the field wandering around in the sunshine the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, but the only cool thing I saw on one of these big, large farms was I was on a couple of them where they had methane digesters. So all the manure, and they were recycling all the water, all the wastewater. And one system I went into, so they had methane digesters, and they were producing all the electricity that the farm needed, plus more, that was going back out to the grid. And then they would dry the manure. They would bed the cows with that dried manure, which had gone through a heat for the methane. And so the cows were basically sleeping on sterile bedding. The other cool part, all that water was used to flush manure. And then at the end of the RO system, he goes, "You want to drink out of this hose?" And I go, "Yeah." Why, he goes, "An hour ago, that was in that lagoon."
Look, I know they've gotten really efficient with a lot of this stuff, but let's stop and think about something for a second. All those processes you just talked about. We have to take the manure and go do this with it. We have to take this manure and go dry it. We have to, isn't that what the land does for us if we just set everything up properly?
I don't agree with that, but they were in an arid area, semi-arid area where they were recycling all the water and everything. And that was a good part of it, of that. But yet the cow's health, when you looked at where, the maternity ward where they would birth and things, it was just, a couple of them were doing a good job, but most of them, it was not natural at all. No, it wasn't. I agree with you. The health of the animal is secondary to a certain extent. The cow was maybe 3 years, and otherwise on an organic farm, they were 7 or 8. Maybe more.
We forget, we hardly ever talk about why the center of the United States was, we have to use the word was, so fertile. Why was that the breadbasket for the whole world? We forgot about the millions and millions of bison that lived in that area on their own, totally on nature. Nature handled that just fine and created yards of topsoil. And then we destroyed it all.
Right. And I'm trying to think, and now I've drawn a blank because I just listened to the book about the guy in North Dakota, Brown's.
Gabe Brown.
Brown Ranch?
Dirt to Soil.
Yeah. I just listened to that about a month ago. Dirt to Soil. Yes, Yeah. And that's the way my dad would farm. My dad didn't want to move up to anything, He'd get mad every time a new confinement building would go up for livestock,
Well,
but anyway, all right.
Again, we tend to forget that, and some of us are just too young the farther we get away from this. But prior to World War II, nobody would have ever used the word organic for anything because everything was organic. There was no distinction prior to World War II. Nobody said my animals or my vegetables are organic. We wouldn't have even known what that word meant.
Right. It all comes down to population. As that, at the turn of the last century, early 1900s, the majority, look at the percentage of people that lived on their own farms and raised their own stuff versus today. It went from 40 or 50% of the United States grew or raised or lived on agriculture related to down less than 2%. Right. So how are you going to feed those people? Well, you got to do it artificial. Sorry, that's
correct. And
that's what happened.
That was the plan. Once they figured out that all of these chemicals that we created as weapons for World War II, we had this stockpile of chemical weapons. They had to find a use. Once they started using it, they figured out, hey, this is cheap. We can produce food fast and cheap, and that's what took over. And then all these little, you've watched it, the family farms slowly being turned into big corporate farms. And now we put on your tinfoil hat, but I don't think it's a good idea to have our food supply controlled by all these big corporations.
It's not, because I was a plant manager at a couple of different food processing and packaging plants. Nothing was ever added or anything for the health of the individual.
Right.
It was for marketing, it was for shipping, it was for storage. That's all it was.
Yep.
It was never for the health of the end consumer.
Or
ever.
Or the animal or the farmer the system was set up like, I have to say that, unfortunately, capitalism, the way we are currently doing it, is failing us. And it's because it's crony capitalism. But I have to take a step back and say capitalism certainly works. There's no doubt about it. I've been a dyed-in-the-wool capitalist most of my life. But we really, really messed it up in this country. We've got to figure out a way to fix it. And it doesn't mean you throw capitalism away and go move towards socialism or anything else. It means we have to take a step back and say, this worked for a very, very long time. Where did we go wrong?
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you feed a lot of people with something that's I guess the packaging, the big food businesses got to be there to a certain extent, because that is buffer between supply and the end use.
Hey, Roger.
I guess I don't know.
No, they have waged a campaign on us for decades that this is the only way to produce enough food, and it is total bullshit. Go read some of Joel Salatin's books and look at the amount of food he produces on 100 acres. And if we just went back to local and regional farms of that size, not only would we be producing food so much healthier and better for us, better for the animal, better for the planet, we wouldn't be shipping it all over the country. It would just stay local. We would be getting, all of our animal products from within, maybe a couple 100 miles of where we live, or less.
Right. Yes, exactly. And that's just like I believe on solar energy, distributed energy. Make it where you need it and where you use it.
Exactly.
Kind of the same thing, And but yeah, it's going to take a long time to get there. Sadly, on that.
I would be okay with a long time. My fear is we'll never get there at all.
Sadly, that's probably more true than not.
That's what I worry about. If it was just a matter of, look, we have a plan, we know how to turn this around, but it's going to take us 2 more generations. Hell, I'm okay with that. Let's start doing it then. Yeah. But I'm afraid that we'll never even start.
Sadly, you're right, because I've witnessed firsthand. I was sitting someplace the other day, and 2 people were talking about their ailments, and their doctor said they were needing, their cholesterol's too high, they needed all this kind of stuff. And the girl, she was in her 30s, overweight.
Yep.
2 or 3 of them sitting there, and we're all probably almost bumping, 180, 200. and 5 foot nothing. And they were saying, well, my doctor said this and this. And I mentioned, what's your diet kind of thing, just to play devil's advocate.
Yes.
I just want him to give me a pill so I feel better.
That's it.
And that was her comment.
Yep, that's right. And it used to be that I think people were starting to think that way, or they'd been brainwashed that way. Now people are just fine saying it out loud. No, just give me the pill. Yeah, just give me the surgery. I don't want to do the work. Yeah. All right. Hey, Roger.
Well, great. I appreciate all your time. Thank you. I know we couldn't have done that on XM, so I do appreciate it.
You're welcome. I love the fact that we're not rushed anymore. I can take as much time on a call as I want. Speaking of calls, though, they're really quiet today. I've got one more on the line I'll take right now. If some come in, we'll keep going. If not, I'll call it an early weekend because tomorrow is a recorded show, by the way. It's kind of part 2 of what you heard last Friday. Let's go to Texas. William, welcome to the program.
Well, good morning. How are you, Kevin?
Good. What's on your mind today?
Yeah, it's been a while since I chatted with you. This prepaid legal thing. I'm going to call it situation dependent, and I got a reason behind that. At one time, I drove over the road for 32 years, and passing through certain states that prey on drivers like California, Oregon, Colorado anymore. The prepaid legal at that point you may break even on it, you may not for the cost. In my current situation, being I no longer drive over the road, I got rid of the plan because I really don't need it. I will hire an attorney as needed.
How many years did you have?
I had that for 5 years.
How often did you use it?
And it was $40 a month, 5 times. Now, all but one of those citations was fictitious.
So I guess I'd have to wonder and I want to hear from people on the road today. Is this? I don't know. I can't remember hardly anybody that would get that many violations that weren't real. You were being targeted that often now, with fictitious violations?
Back about 15 years ago, I'll use the example. I got stopped in San Antonio, Texas. When I had a car pass me doing probably 20 over the speed limit, I get stopped and written a ticket for 4 over the speed limit. And, of course, the prepaid legal, that the lawyer took it to court, and we managed to actually prove through a video that I wasn't at fault. It happened twice in California. Same deal. I had an officer trying to say that on the level I was running 72 miles an hour in a 55 when I had a truck that was governed for 62. That happened twice, same company. And then now I did get one in Virginia. Now that one was my fault. I let the truck roll downhill a little fast. However, the lawyer took it to court, and I offered to pay the fine to get the charge reduced, in which they just reduced it to a fire extinguisher that was inoperative. But like I said, that was back then. These days, I could not justify it at all these days myself because it's rare that I even looked at for an inspection, much less get pulled over for moving violations. Back at that time, and that was even...
That's kind of the way I've always felt about the whole thing. I mean, if I get a violation, it takes me 10 minutes to pick up a phone and find an attorney in that location to handle it for me. I've never understood... I don't like extended warranties. I just don't get this concept of prepaying for something, and if I don't use it, the money is just gone. That's never made any sense to me. And look, here's why those things were very popular. Here's why every time you buy something that costs more than about $20 anymore at Best Buy, they want to throw on some protection plan for 38 cents. They make a gazillion dollars on that stuff. And people just keep signing up and signing up and signing up, and nobody realizes how much money they're spending that they'll never, ever get back. I just don't like this concept of prepaying for something that I may never get. Wait until I need it, then I'll go get it. I still, even if somebody told me, look, I get 2 violations every year. Well, maybe you should figure out why you're getting 2 violations every year. But even then, I'll still just wait till I get it, and I'll go pay an attorney to deal with it for me.
Right. And see, and that's exactly what, like I said, I take one regional trip a week. I mean, I'm still driving 5 days a week, but I take a regional trip and I run through North Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, sometimes Western Louisiana. And I run pretty much the same route all the time. If I go out here and I get a moving violation right now, guess whose fault that is? It's mine, because I know the route I run. I know all the speed limits. I know what to expect. I know what I'm doing. But
hold on a second. I just want to say, you know all the speed limits. So does everybody driving. They put signs up for us. They don't make us guess what the speed is any place. The signs are all there. Now we have GPS that'll even warn us that the speed sign's about to change. So again, even if I don't run a dedicated route, if I'm in a new place so what? That I shouldn't get a violation just because I don't know the area.
Right. Well, the point I was getting at is with just me by myself here. If I go out here and get a moving violation right now, like I said, it's my fault. And solely because I was not paying attention, that's pretty rare for me to not. But like I said, there are instances out here, in the past where it did pay for itself, but it reached a point to where it wasn't paying for itself anymore. So I got rid of it and still haven't had a problem. I haven't had a prepaid legal service now, 5 years, I guess.
Well, here's something. Here's something I can promise people. Whether you have prepaid legal service or not will never be the determining factor whether you were profitable as an owner-operator. Ever. That will
that is true.
That would never be the reason somebody went out of business. It would never be the reason somebody succeeded in business. It's such a minor factor. And if I have this many violations that this is actually paying for itself, I should probably look at why I have so many violations.
But
to me, I just don't get giving a company money that they didn't earn.
And that's exactly what I did when I got the last violation. I said, am I doing something wrong here? Well, that was one of them times. I'm sitting here, a piece of advice you gave on the radio one time about how to get comfortable with driving at a slower speed. Drive 60 this week, drive 59 the next week.
Yeah, right.
58 week after. I got to where I started doing that, and I got to the point to where I was driving 5 miles an hour, either under a speed limit or slower than the truck's governor.
Yeah,
whichever was the slower one.
Yeah, there you go.
And that right there, helped. I mean, a bunch. I didn't. Every time I see a cop, he'll pull out. It's not me he's after.
Right.
And like I said, today in today's world, I've been out here now for 34 years now. And the way I look at it, if I get pulled over and I get a citation, trust me, they're justified because, they've got cameras, they've got video, they've got everything now to prove you wrong, period.
Yep.
And
hey, William, hate to do it, but I just looked and the calls are starting to pile up. I asked for them and they're rolling in, so I've got to get to them because I am limited today somewhat on time. We do have rolling tow. So if the calls keep coming in, I want to make sure I can get to as many as possible. Rolling tow will be coming up a little more than an hour, 10 o'clock West Coast time. Let's go to Texas. Mike, welcome to the program.
Hey, Kevin. I hope you're having a good day today.
I am. What's on your mind?
Well, I've got an issue. Back in about the first week of January, I was adjusting mechanisms. It's one of the bar type. We had to pull up on the bar.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this about 39 years, and I don't know what happened, but I was, it's kind of not wanting to move, so I kind of yanked it a little bit. And when I yanked on it, I guess I strained my left shoulder somehow, and it's still bothering me to this day. Because
How long
I can hardly even raise my arm up, and I can't since like the first week of January.
Okay, and tell me about your diet.
I'm doing carnivore, or carnivore-ish, we'll say.
Okay.
So I mean, I've been doing this diet now since about 8 years.
Okay. Where is most of your meat coming from, and are you exposed to seed oils eating in restaurants or any processed foods or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm subjected to the seed oils and all like that.
That'll do it.
Over-the-road driver, and so
that'll do it. And I'll tell you, I don't know how long you've been listening or what you remember, but several times since I started eating clean, 9 years ago almost, several times on road trips, I've kind of, slacked off a little bit, and we get busy and we start eating at restaurants more often. And I still stick, to keto carnivore. I'm not eating any grains ever. Not a lot of vegetables anymore, mostly carnivore. Yeah. And my shoulder pain is one of the first that come back. My shoulder and my hip, because I broke my hip, separated my left shoulder twice, and that pain comes back.
Right.
And it's the seed oils that'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, because like I said, I don't eat any grains. I haven't eaten grains in almost as long as you. Because when you first started talking about it, when you were back on the weekends and all that.
Yep. And we know. When we skip the grains, the pain goes away. But for me, not for everybody, but for me, I seem to be much more sensitive to the seed oils. And if I start getting too many of those in my diet, that pain will come back.
Right. It's not a constant pain. It's just some ligament or whatever I strained or whatever.
Yeah, no, it was the same with me. It wasn't constant, but the pain was there, and certain ways I moved. It got bad enough once I actually gave in and took a cortisol shot because I needed some relief so I could sleep. But all it was diet. There was no new injury. That it was just diet. Once I got back home and got rid of all the seed oils and was back to eating the meat that I canned and bought, the pain went away.
Yeah, I mean, because when I first started doing this and all that, all my joint pains and all that went away altogether, and I haven't had any up until, like I said, this January when I strained my shoulder. So I never had pain in my shoulder before.
Yeah. Well,
I guess I'll just have to do my best to get away from that.
What'll happen is because of those seed oils, you're more likely to have inflammation when you have an injury, and then we can't get the inflammation to go away, and that's what the pain is.
Right. Okay.
So
all right. Well, thanks, Kevin.
You're welcome. You just got to work to get get the restaurant food out of there. Let's go to Indiana. Dave, welcome to the program.
Hey, Kevin.
What's on your mind today?
Oh, Kevin. I'm still kind of mad at you, but I got some good news and I got some bad news.
Okay.
I've been listening to you for about 10 years, and if it wasn't for a friend of mine, his name's Roger Renfro, I was actually going to start my own business, or being a truck driver, owner-operator.
Okay.
And he talked me into listening to you. And unfortunately, he passed away I think that was last week, unfortunately. Cancer got a hold of him. But if it wasn't for him, I would have never listened to you. But I was listening to your programs, and this was way back, 10 years ago. And I listened to your, the business side of that, and periodically, you get those callers in because you weren't doing the segments like you are now. But you'd have a guy call in and, something about health or whatever. And at this particular, and I totally understand because, like I said, I've been listening to you for 10 years. But there was one guy came on there and you had suggested a supplement to him. And the first thing that went through my mind is, there he is pushing things off onto somebody else. He's just trying to make money through a store. That was the first thought.
Right.
And because my wife did the same thing. She's like, oh, this is the pill. Oh, this is the pill. Oh, this is. No, it's not. Yeah, she lost the weight, but like you said, once you get off that pill, a week or two later, you blow up like a balloon, and she did. Well, I was an over-the-road truck driver. I'm not anymore. I'm basically LTL, which I might add, you suggested that a long time ago, and that is a well-paying job. The first time I've ever made $100,000 a year.
There you go.
But when I was OTR in the back of my truck, I ain't lying, Kevin, I had the 5-star kitchen in the back of that thing. You name it, I had it in the back. So I was actually, and this is the part that I'm mad at you. Well, a little mad at you. I had mastered the art of making a loaf of bread while going down the road.
Wow. Okay.
And this is when that 30-minute.
That had to smell
This is when that
incredible,
30-minute. Oh, it was driving me crazy. I was licking inside the windows, and truck drivers are looking at me like, "What is that guy doing?"
Yeah.
But that's when that 30-minute mandate came out, and it worked out perfectly because it takes 3 hours and 10 minutes exactly to make a loaf of bread. So I would pull over, take my 30, I'd take that loaf of bread out, set it on my bunk, and cruise on down the road.
Yeah.
So it worked out great. And, so then every time you would talk about health, I always turned you off. But there was this one time, and I'm not kidding here. God may strike me down if I'm lying, but I was getting ready to change the channel. You was on XM Radio. I was getting ready to change the channel because this guy got on there. He was so happy and so joyous or whatever because he just felt great, yada, 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 the whole story.
Right.
And I was getting ready to change it, and he said, it only took 2 weeks. And I said, whoa, what's going on here? He said 2 weeks of no grains, and he felt 1,000 times better. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try this. So for 2 weeks, all I had for breakfast was bacon and eggs, and I would eat I would still go into Wendy's, but I wasn't getting, your typical stuff. I'd go in there and get a double cheeseburger plain.
Right.
And I would eat just the beef, not the bun. And after that 2 weeks, I went back and I went to I think it was Burger King, and I just bought a Whopper fries and a Coke. And that was the most horrid thing I ever ate in my life. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
I know.
The masking that them grains do, and I was just totally floored. So then that's when I started listening to your health shows. And then that's when that's when you came out and said, look, I don't want nobody, I think you said you were doing the 30 days with no supplements, and then after that you would suggest things. And then that's when it hit me. I was like, I bet that's what he did with that first guy I was talking about.
Right.
He was past his time, and then you were just suggesting that. But then on the flip side of that, I started, that's when I got on to Healthy Tribe when it first came out, and I was watching your NDK coffee, and I'm going to tell you, that is very addicting. So you was looking for another theme for a show. How about NDK addicts?
Yeah.
Because that stuff is addicting.
Have you, since you really like the NDK coffee, have you tried the cacao reishi drink at night?
No, I haven't.
Oh, I'm torn on which one I actually enjoy more. I mean, I love my coffee in the morning with all the fat and the creamy butter. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. But the cacao at night, and you can do the same thing. I tend to use heavy cream in the cacao at night and a little bit of hot honey. That drink is so rich and chocolatey and decadent, and I love that one too. Wow.
But I start exactly what I think you've always said this, but experimentation is the greatest thing in the world, and that's not a lie. But to go back a little bit, when I said I was mad at you a little bit, that loaf of bread, I was trying to figure a way to make the perfect loaf of bread, because what I was making was perfect, but I wanted it to be breakfasty. So what I was getting at is, how would you put eggs in there with bacon, sausage, and cheese, and a little bit of butter in there, some maple syrup? That's what I was working on. But then after I tried your 2 weeks of no grains, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I pushed all that crap aside, so I'm not even doing that anymore. And, it's like, I wish I could have, worked on that some more. But I know that there's really no way you can make a loaf of bread.
Nope.
So it's kind of upsetting. But,
I have said that I'm a big foodie. I'd love to learn how to cook all kinds of different cuisines and techniques. And I used to love, like many of us, really good, hearty bread with that big crunch on the crust and nice and chewy inside. Oh, yeah. I was getting ready to take a pretty high-level bread-making course, and I had bread-making machines and yeah, kind of the same thing. You gotta, get rid of all that stuff. Hey, Dave, I just looked up. We've got a guest coming on, and then we're going to come back and get to some more calls and questions as well. So if you're on the line, hang on. We're going to bring in our guest. We've got an announcement to make, and then we'll get back to the calls we've got on the line. I'm going to bring back in John Hewlett from Cardio Miracle. John, welcome back.
Kevin, it's great to hear your voice again. How are you doing?
Good. It's good to have you back on with us. It's been a while. It's been too long.
Oh, my gosh. We've been just so busy. It's been absolutely unbelievable, and so I'm delighted to join you today.
Yeah, it's
good.
It's good to be busy. That's a really good thing right now. So what's been new and exciting in your world?
Well, we continue our ongoing battle to try to help the lives of humanity as we see these things unfolding around us. It's obviously, since we last spoke, we're seeing a lot of the lies and deceptions and misinformation that we've been exposed to the last 3 years, starting to unravel in front of our very eyes and validating what many of us have been saying all along, is that this last 3 years seems to be a nefarious plot of some sort that has designed to harm humanity in a lot of ways and profit a select few. And it's been, we're now seeing some congressional hearings being held with some pretty strong statements from doctors and scientists on talking about the source of what we got exposed to 3 years ago and over the last period of time, and then also the many challenges we have from the treatment and protocols of what's been going on. And now adding to the mix is this horrific accident or situation in Ohio, which is now adding environmental toxicity to go along with everything else that's going on. It's like we're being assaulted on every angle, and because of our unique situation with having, I developed Cardio Miracle primarily for cardiovascular health, and I believe that had an impact on peripheral artery disease and inflammation and the immune system, et cetera. But my, oh my, I had no idea that we would be right at the forefront of the fight against the spike protein, the protocols, and everything else. So now with these dioxins being released into the atmosphere, and many of your drivers and associates are working that eastern part of the country, and the impact of this environmental pollution is horrific for the immune system, and primarily is targeting similar aspects of what we felt the virus or spike protein or bioweapon that was released before is responsible for, and then of course the protocol, which has a lot of spike protein issues in it as well. So all of these things are attacking our pulmonary and our cardiovascular system in numerous ways.
Yeah, it sure is. The news, the truth is finally starting to come out. I'm glad to see that, although it still seems to be taking way too long, and there's still an awful lot of people that just don't want to believe what the truth is. I feel so bad for those people in East Palestine. I am very familiar with that area. I've told the story a lot. That area, when I was driving truck, it was my second year of driving, that was my area. I was in East Palestine every week. I was in that whole area every day.
Oh, my.
And wow. As bad as I feel for the people that are there, I have to feel pretty fortunate. We sold a house that was about 13 miles away from where the derailment was just a couple of years ago, and we sold a condo there just this time last year.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I had no idea. But your heart just goes out for these people. This is their home.
It's awful.
And they're surrounded by this horrific situation. I can't even fathom. I watch it, and then, when it isn't impacting your life, just like when you have a hurricane or an earthquake or a raging fire that's burning all the houses around, you just kind of detach yourself from the human reality and suffering that goes on. But oh my gosh, these are just very, very challenging times, and we're trying to do our best to get information to people that they need to support their immune response. They need to be able to protect their capillaries and arteries and blood flow from being tainted with these toxins. And seriously, Kevin, nitric oxide, as delivered by our product, is the most viable answer. I mean, I'm not trying to sell it to anyone. I'm just saying, just do the research. And nitric oxide is at the forefront of helping dioxin, and it's at the forefront of helping to heal damage from spike proteins. It is what it is.
You know, we are very, very happy with all of our nutritional recommendations right now. Call it fortunate or whatever, but just like you just said, all the things we've been doing just to be healthier and because we knew they were good have really set people up to be able to handle this better. But it's gotten bad enough now that I just kind of announced over the last couple of days, when I finish up all the projects I've got in the works right now, my next big protocol is going to be a regular detox routine. We've never recommended that before.
No.
The body's pretty good at detoxing itself when you give it the right nutrition, and detox can get a little tricky if you're not careful with it. But I'm to the point now where I don't think that just having good nutrition is going to be enough. I think we're going to have to do some regular detox. And we're looking at two modalities. One we already recommend, the infrared sauna. We sell the blanket right in our store. You can take it in the truck with you. That is an excellent, safe form of detox. And the other one is a new product we just brought in last week and already sold out on it. We work with a company called Enviromedica. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them or not.
No.
Excellent company. Yeah. Big on probiotics, soil-based probiotics, and some other things. But they make a bentonite clay. And the clay is in a really super fine powder. It's so fine that the word is hydrophobic. It repels water. The powder is so fine, it's hard to get the powder wet. You know, you try to put water on this powder and it repels and it won't absorb. You actually have to put it into a blender and then you pour the blender into your bath water. But this clay is magnetic and it pulls the heavy metals and other toxins right out through your sweat glands in a hot bath.
Bentonite, I'm very familiar with montmorillonite and bentonite clay and the detoxing abilities and things. And I actually met an interesting character a number of years ago who used to bring out montmorillonite clay out of the hills on the California-Nevada border by hand in 5-pound, in 5-gallon buckets.
Wow.
And believe that it had, thousands of years of properties in that clay, and I've used it a number of times. I actually used to use it in my jacuzzi, my spa, instead of chlorine, and it was amazing. It worked fantastic, and I've used it to draw out various toxicities. So I'm all for the bentonite, montmorillonite clay detox situation. And one of the things that we may have talked about, Kevin, last fall is our research paper in Frontiers in Nutrition talked about CardioMiracle's specific impact on autophagy. And autophagy is the cell cleaning itself out, essentially, the process of discarding the waste product in the cell. Well, the study said that CardioMiracle, specifically with all of its ingredients, facilitated autophagy, facilitated the cell recycling the garbage in the cell or the waste product in the cell back into glucose or energy, and facilitated the intermittent fasting process. So, why my question to the scientists was, well, will taking CardioMiracle interrupt my intermittent fasting? And said, absolutely not. It actually makes it better. It facilitates it, makes the detox or the fasting aspect more efficacious or more effective. So that's another interesting aspect along with your idea of a more regular detox, which I think has some very, very significant health benefits. The infrared sauna, we have one. It's fantastic. And then if you're doing the intermittent fasting, I think that is going to add a really good element. And then if you decide to supplement that with Cardio Miracle for the autoimmune benefits, the vitamin D benefits, the immune support, the pulmonary support, the clarity, etc., and then do everything you can to wean yourself off of excess caffeine, which kind of defeats all of those purposes of that. I think people would be extremely well served from trying to deal with all of these challenges that they're facing.
I agree, and it doesn't look like it's going to slow down. Hey, you've got an announcement to make today about Cardio Miracle, correct?
Well, we do have an announcement. I guess my son Josh, who works with Lisa, probably mentioned to her. The thing that's interesting is I've been working for a couple of years, and the biggest challenge in having 53 ingredients is taste and having it be palatable. You can make stuff that's really good for you, but no one will take it or drink it because it tastes so bad.
Right.
And so we've really, really worked hard on the profile, and it's called the sweetening profile. And it literally, if you take all of the good for you ingredients and put them together, I call it would taste like a dead raccoon float.
Right.
And it wouldn't taste very good, or
Yeah.
or a smoothie.
Yeah.
So, and we happen to be fortunate that we have some of that good Oregon organic fruits and vegetables from the people up in the gorge there by you.
Yeah.
And we bring in organic beets, carrots, raspberries, blueberries, coconut water, etc. Of course, the coconuts aren't grown there, but the organic fruits and vegetables are a very, very important part of our antioxidants and our vitamin C delivery. We have acerola cherry organic. All of those things add to the many beneficial buffering ingredients of Cardio Miracle. And then we had to have natural flavors. We just had to have them. And the natural flavors are, a little bit of blackberry and some things to try to give it some body and some taste to all these ingredients. And ironically, through the years, I would ask the manufacturers and the providers, they said, are organic flavors better than natural flavors? And they said, well, they're kind of overrated because the organic flavors are organic, but they have no flavor. They have very little. They have very little flavor.
Right.
So you're paying a lot for something that doesn't help the flavor. And they said, well, that's a problem. I said, because we need to work on the flavor. And so we had to reluctantly bring in natural flavors, which are all from a natural source, but they're highly processed in the process of distilling down to have some flavor in a concentrate. So ironically, in the last 6 months, in the last year or so, I guess there's been some progress in organic flavors, them being able to maintain some flavor. And so we had wanted to have organic flavors if possible. And so we were able to now find sources of organic flavors that have enough flavor to be worth the money, and the price has come down a little bit in order to be able to put it into our very complex. We have 53 ingredients. Most nitric oxide supplements have 12, or a capsule has 2.
Right.
And so we have a very complex formula, as you know, and that's why you recommend it. But so we had the flavoring thing. And the other thing that we had is that I spent an enormous amount of time vacillating on organic stevia root, stevia leaf. Originally, when we started Cardio Miracle 9.5 years ago, we had a cane sugar. I wanted actually like an organic cane sugar and then a stevia, because the cane sugar tasted better. And some people wanted something that tasted better than the aftertaste of stevia. Within a year or so, I decided to move away from the cane sugar and then moved strictly into erythritol, which I had researched out, and all of the data and all the science had said that erythritol was the best of the sugar alcohol sweeteners out of xylitol and there's about 4 or 5 of them that were in that situation. My original product that I used to sell, I didn't develop, had xylitol in it, and that created a situation worse than death for some people.
Yeah,
in that
right.
about 20% of the people got diarrhea.
We
We
call that, we actually have a term for that. We call it disaster pants.
Disaster pants, exactly. So years ago, and I have to laugh about it now, but 15 years ago when I started in this nitric oxide world, I would have people who'd call me up and say, John, I love the idea of the nitric oxide. I love this product, but I'm crapping in my pants all the time. They're having a tough time with the xylitol. So I thought, oh my gosh. So we avoided xylitol, obviously, for the last 9 years with the Cardio Miracle formula, and settled upon erythritol because erythritol tasted much like sugar, but it had a low glycemic index, meaning it was safe for diabetics and it was safe for people who were trying to avoid sugar and trying to cut their calories and those types of things. So we settled on that, and yet in the process, I've looked at multiple new developments and ingredients and things that I thought that we could at some point replace because it took a couple of grams of erythritol in order to add enough flavor to the natural fruits and vegetables and to the natural flavors to get our profile, which is now about 95% successful. Most people think Cardio Miracle tastes great. There's a handful that say, don't think it tastes great, but you can't please everyone. So I'm happy to be over 90%. So
yeah.
So little did I know, I've been working on this now for 9 months and finally had determined in about November. Now you got to understand the manufacturing process is generally a 3 to 6 month situation because you've got to source your ingredients. You've got to vet your suppliers, and we're bringing in 53 ingredients from all over the world. And so there's a certain amount of complexity, and you've also got your not only quality controls, but you've got to make sure your quantity so you don't run out. And our sales are going through the roof, and so juggling our inventory and packaging and all these things. We used to talk, you and I, 6 months ago about the shipping problem in Long Beach that was going on with a bunch of ships sitting out there. They couldn't deliver their goods. And so, I mean, our manufacturer has a big challenge dealing with lids and labels and ingredients and whatever, shipping, delays, fuel prices, surcharges, you name it. And then we had, of course, a strange thing the last 3 years, this fake pandemic that put a lot of people out of work. Plants were shut down. I mean, the manufacturers were having to all run around in masks and have to screen everybody and take people's temperatures. And I mean, there was all kinds of things that had complicated the manufacturing process, and not to say fuel prices, inflation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The last few years have been a circus for anyone in the supply chain or anyone trying to deliver finished goods, as most people know, with the shortages they've seen in various things and things that used to take. I mean, it used to take you 6 months to get a refrigerator. Now you can get one tomorrow because all of those ships finally got unloaded, and most of the warehouses and everything are full of stuff. And, of course, we have inflation. So back to the erythritol story. So I had made a decision with my chemist and my manufacturer that I wanted to. They came, when I was asking them about some of these options, they said, well, monk fruit, which has always been a very highly preferred natural source, along with stevia, of sweetener, the monk fruit has finally come down in price, and there's monk fruit available, but with this type of stevia is going to give you the flavoring profile that you're interested in, along with the organic flavors. And I said, great. I said, and then I said, now, if we transition some larger quantities, because I've always been customer-oriented to give our customers the best price, the best value that we possibly can, that we are going to transition to pouches, because pouches are a little more environmentally friendly. Canisters are a little more bulky. Canisters have a little, take up more space for shipping. Pouches are less money. And so I said, if we get a great pouch that, isn't going to, tear and shipping, and we'll give people what we need, we'll figure out the other delivery systems. So we were able to potentially save enough. And this is kind of shocking, really, but we were able to save enough through that projection of transitioning the majority of our product to pouches to pay for the increased price of the monk fruit and the organic flavors. And
Excellent.
so without having the pricing. We haven't had a price increase, Kevin, in 3.5 years.
Yeah, we
Who else? What other product in the world
yeah, I know.
has not gone up in price?
We deal with a lot of different vendors, so we're trying to hold our prices steady. But when the vendor raises the price, it makes it really, really difficult. I can control, my cost inside my own building, but my material cost, if they go up, there's just not a whole lot I can do.
Right.
And we have not raised prices, but I'm not sure how much longer we can do it either. It's interesting. I want to talk about the whole sweetener thing, because this has been an issue for us forever. People ask us about these sweeteners. It is very confusing. And the media recently, I've noticed, has started doing something that makes it even more confusing. The media has been referring to all non-caloric sweeteners as artificial, and that's absolutely not true. We have multiple categories of sweeteners, and I try to help people understand. We have natural caloric sweeteners. They're natural, they have calories, things like honey, maple syrup, maple sugar, coconut nectar. We recommend a lot of those sweeteners for people who are metabolically healthy. If you've done the work and you're metabolically healthy, you can handle some of those sweeteners, and some of them have honey has incredible health benefits. Maple syrup and sugar are loaded with good mineral content. Coconut sugar is almost off the charts on mineral content. So if you can handle a little of those in your diet, that's what we recommend using. Now we go to there really are no artificial caloric sweeteners. That wouldn't make sense. They make artificial sweeteners so that they have no calories. That was the whole point of them. So you have caloric sweeteners that are natural. That's our preference. If you're metabolically healthy and you want something sweet, you should be using those. If you are not metabolically healthy and you're looking for something sweet, we recommend several non-caloric natural sweeteners. So they either don't have any calories or very little, or our body can't digest them so that we can't absorb the calories even though they're there. And sugar alcohols fall into that. Anything that ends in TOL.
Exactly.
Erythritol, xylitol, mannitol, sorbitol. Right. Those are all sugar alcohols that you can't absorb the calories that are in them because we can't digest them. But that's also why they can cause digestive issues. So, and some of them are worse than others. So those, we consider the natural caloric sweeteners as actually, they can be health-inducing used properly. They have benefits. We consider the non-caloric natural sweeteners neutral. There's nothing about these adds to your health in any way, but there's really not much in there. There really isn't anything that takes away from your health either, especially because we use these things in such small amounts that they're just kind of neutral. So if you want something sweet, you can't handle any calories right now, then probably go with these. The third category, the true artificial sweeteners, sucralose, you've got the yellow.
Aspartame.
You've got the yellow, the blue, and the pink at the table, right? They're all toxic poison. Stay away from all of that garbage. It is so bad, it shouldn't even be on the market. So we do try to help people understand that, right? Now, all of a sudden, We have another issue with sweeteners. And before we talk about what just happened this week with one of our, natural non-caloric sweeteners.
Right. Sugar alcohol.
Yeah, we also have to set something up here. In the last several months, I've been collecting these headlines and articles. I'm up over 30 now of all sorts of new things that seem to be causing blood clots and cardio issues. Just out of the blue, everything
Kevin,
now seems to. Yeah.
I am so impressed. Let me tell you, I am so impressed with your research and that you are ahead of this curve, because that's the first thing I said when I saw this new article. I thought, oh my gosh, the cover-up continues for trying to explain the fact that died suddenly without a cause has raised our mortality rates in insurance by over 40%.
It's so obvious. I have a headline that claims gardening leads to increased risk of blood clots and cardiovascular issues.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Eggs are now public enemy number one after they're killing all the chickens, too. Please send me your list. I would love to see those headlines, because you are right on the money. Let me just say to the Let's Truck audience, you are so fortunate to have Kevin Rutherford and Lisa at the forefront as a watchdog for this country, for your health, for your well-being of running your business, because he is right on the money. And let me tell you, he is way ahead. There's only a handful of us out there that are seeing this deception as it unfolds, just like this situation in Ohio, which has actually perhaps a deeper, more sinister plot to it than just trying to poison the people in Ohio. But there is so many unbelievable things happening. And Kevin, you are right on the money, because I know that, imagine you're a poor diabetic, or you're a person who's been, erythritol, for example, is in thousands and thousands and thousands of great products that have given a low glycemic, non-caloric benefit for people to enjoy certain foods and desserts and things. Whether you should take them or not, they're certainly far better than what most diabetics have had. And yet it's like we're looking at a daily smear campaign of anything else they can add to the blood clot, heart inflammation, myocarditis book claim that just happened to come out of the blue in the last 24 months.
You know what kind of surprised me? I follow a lot of practitioners in the natural health world. You know a lot of them, because many of them promote your product. Cardio Miracle is big into the functional and natural health world, so you know a lot of these people. I am shocked at how many of them started tweeting out that article and telling people not to use erythritol. Come on, guys.
It's unbelievable.
These are the same people who have been saying for years, they lied to us about cholesterol. They were wrong. They lied to us about fat. They were wrong. They lied to us about saturated fat. They were wrong. They lied to us about salt. They were wrong. They lied to us about grass-fed beef. They were wrong. We go through this whole list. They lied to us about healthy whole grains. They were wrong. We all stand there and say, look, they were wrong. You can't believe them. And then for some reason, a handful of them just took this at face value and believed it and started telling people. What the hell were you guys thinking? You don't want to question this? Did anybody go look to see whose study this was? Are there conflicts of interest in this study? It's the same old garbage.
Exactly.
Why did these people jump on board without even taking
because we've become a media-driven propaganda circus in this world, and most people didn't even read the study or read even the rest of the article.
Correct. I know.
This was giving sick people already, comorbidity people, 30 grams of erythritol with nothing else. 30 grams. Well, if you give any rat or any mouse or any person who has a problem too much of anything, they're going to develop a problem. That's just common sense.
I tell the story all the time. There's kind of a phrase we use in the natural health world, whether it's food or supplements or whatever we're talking about, or toxic exposures. We use a phrase called the dose is the poison. That there are times when something that is extremely beneficial can become extremely toxic if we overdo it.
Totally.
And the example I'd like to give is water. There's a phenomenon with primarily ultra marathoners and athletes and people who do extreme sports where they can overhydrate and it can kill them. It washes out so many minerals, and our heart needs minerals to function, that our heart stops because we wash out all the minerals by overhydrating. There's a story, if people want to go look it up. Remember when Nintendo, I think it's Nintendo, brought out the Wii, the game console called the Wii?
Yeah, I remember the
WI.
Yeah.
There was a radio station in California. They did a big promotion for the Wii, and they had contestants come on, and they were playing the video game Wii, and they had to keep drinking water without going to the bathroom because it's a Wii. It was a play on words, and it was a contest to see who could last longer. Somebody died.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so you're right.
Wow.
Most of the people that were
right.
just tweeting and repeating this article about erythritol didn't even bother to open it up and read it. The amounts were incredible. The only thing you're going to get from that much erythritol is disaster pants, because erythritol in high amounts will do that. All of the sugar alcohols in the wrong amounts will disrupt your digestion. Erythritol is one of the least likely. It's one of the more mild. And in the proper, here's the other thing. 30 grams of erythritol, my God, that's sickeningly sweet.
Well, it's ridiculous, and no person would consume that.
No.
Cardio Miracle, to be transparent, has 3 grams.
3.
3.
Yeah, 1/10.
Not 30, yet that's 3.
Right.
But it also has 50 other buffering ingredients that help the viscosity of the blood.
Correct.
That help the nitric oxide repairs any damage to the endothelial lining or anything even attached to the damage that they claim that this article happened with these already compromised people's health from taking that many grams. That would be the equivalent of me coming out with a study tomorrow, Kevin, saying we just gave people 750 grams of caffeine.
Yeah.
And they had a heart attack.
Exactly, right.
That's like you're drinking, they drank the equivalent of 10 Coca-Colas or 10 Dr. Peppers at one time.
Yeah.
At one time. All of that caffeine. Well, of course they're going to have a heart problem if they do that. So the ratio is ridiculous. Now, I'm not discounting that. I'm not saying that erythritol is perfect. I've never thought it was perfect.
Correct.
It was the best alternative I could find, as opposed to having to put 10 grams of cane sugar in something, which would have had all of my diabetics, all of my endocrinologists, all of my cardiologists saying, hey, this stuff's terrible. And the other challenge, so just back to our story, ironically, or through inspiration or whatever, I started making the transition of finding, I've been looking for alternatives for 7 years because I prefer, you have to sometimes do good, better, best.
Right.
And I was trying to deal with better, which I felt that sugar alcohols were better because you got the flavor of sugar without the glycemic problems for my diabetics and my borderline diabetics and others with heart issues with that erythritol or a sugar alcohol would provide. And something that would give you some sweetness against the raccoon float ingredients that people would actually tolerate taking. People say, well, why don't you just put it in a capsule? It would take 40 capsules twice a day to get the ingredients of Cardio Miracle into your system. and they don't become as absorbable as becoming a liquid in a powder. So there's a reason why we're not in a capsule. It would take too many capsules. We have too many good things.
I've told that story several times.
Is that I made the decision in November to move to this new monk fruit and organic stevia situation. And the monk fruit was not going to have any erythritol in it. Some monk fruit does have erythritol. Ours does not. And so we made that decision.
In my opinion, because we talk about this a lot, I've studied all the sweeteners a lot. When you are going with a non-glycemic sweetener, which is exactly what you want in this product, that is the best combination I believe that exists. Monk fruit and stevia for flavor, to try to get away from some of those aftertastes that some people are sensitive to. That is the best combination, and all the best products on the market. That's what they use, but it is expensive and hard to source.
It was so expensive, and the sourcing was limited until this last year or two. And now, obviously, since the market is there, the market has driven that. So I made the decision, and I thought, now how can I do this financially? Because we already have the smallest margin of any product like ours, because we have so many good things in it.
Exactly.
And so how can I do this? Well, the solution came by transitioning to a more environmentally friendly, even though I think most of the environmental movement is nonsense, something that took up less space, like a pouch, as opposed to a canister. And so we're trying to make a multifaceted, good decision. And then even though our costs went up slightly, our sales and volume and our consistent retained customers have been so fantastic that we're being more profitable because of our volume. I decided to keep the price the same.
Excellent.
Keep the price the same, improve the natural flavor into organic flavor, and to improve the sweetener from erythritol to monk fruit and organic stevia in a combination. And the flavor is improving, and it's fantastic. Now, ironically, we were supposed to have our first shipment of the new flavoring and the new upgraded formula at the end of this month, the end of March. And with our business in January, February have been off the charts since November. I mean, everything's going up. We're just, because everyone's finding out that Cardio Miracle is the solution to many of these problems and having such great success. So I called the manufacturer and I said, hey, we got to change the label. We've got to get this process faster. We can't wait for the pouches to be printed. We need to get this upgraded into this next batch that we're firing up to get delivered, these thousands and thousands of units. And he goes, okay, that's fine. He called me back. He says, John, I have to admit I've made a mistake. He said, I said, what's that? He says, well, it's actually a really good mistake. He says, my manufacturer's already blended the new formula.
Oh, wow.
In advance. I thought it was going to be the end of the month.
Yeah.
He says, they already blended it on this emergency batch. He says, so now we just have to wait for the new labels to come.
Oh, good. Good. Okay.
And the new labels will be done. The new labels are done tomorrow, and then they will go on the new canisters blended Monday. And so everything's shipped. Now, we still have our existing product from Amazon and from the stuff that you have. Again, let me just say this. This erythritol thing is going to prove to be nonsense. Like
it is
cholesterol myth and eggs and everything else. So people don't have one minute of concern about erythritol in your Cardio Miracle.
And look, I think my listeners know this. I'm not just ignoring it completely out of hand. I'm 99% sure it's total garbage. The timing is wrong. The testing was wrong. Everything about it is fishy.
The dosing's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I'll keep an eye on this. If there's any real truth, people will do some digging. And if there's any real truth, I'll come back and say, hey, look, maybe there is some evidence. I don't think there's going to be. And again, we're talking about such tiny amounts. It's not something I'm going to get too crazy
Well,
about. Hey, John, real quick.
go ahead.
I gotta move along. I just looked at the clock. We've got another show
Great.
coming up in a little bit, and I've got to knock out some calls here.
Great.
Let's
let's
get you back soon.
Moving. We'll do it. Love to do it. Enjoy it. And congratulations, Kevin, on being at the forefront of most everything. And God bless our truckers throughout the country. But get your nitric oxide going to support your immune system. If you're dealing with these environmental toxins, it'll help you in any way possible.
Great stuff. Take care, John. We'll talk to you again real soon. Let's go to Georgia. Jocks, welcome to the program.
Hey, to our guest, I don't know, it was several months ago, I had a question about, he said you're not supposed to drink it with protein. And I was putting it in my bone broth in the morning, and I always came in and never quite heard the whole conversation. So I just sent him a message, and I figured I'll get one in a few days. And I laid down, I put my phone down in my bunk, and I heard ding, ding, and I was like, what in the world? And he had sent me about 4 huge articles on why. And I'm like, what? And like I said, it's probably 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, man, that's pretty impressive. So, but
Good.
Anyway, I actually called on the insurance scam, whatever. But so the reason I bought it, I'd got a ticket in North Carolina, and I was walking through, and there was this girl with big tits and had about 4 buttons open, and she goes, "Would you like to buy this?" And I'm like, "Sure."
Yep, that's exactly how they marketed it.
It was. I'm just being honest.
I know.
I mean, huge.
No, you're right.
And
right.
I mean, cleavage for miles.
Yep.
But anyway, I got another ticket here, not long after. And the guy never showed, the lawyer
no way.
Never showed to my court.
That would really
It was actually in Ohio.
Jeez.
The only reason I wasn't put in jail and my license wasn't suspended is because it was the week of Christmas. And I called him that afternoon because I hadn't heard nothing.
Yeah.
And the lady's like, "You missed your appointment." I'm like, "Excuse me."
Oh, man.
And I said, "Look," I've got a lawyer was supposed to be there.
Right.
She's like, "Well, it was Christmas week and the judge was actually gone, so we didn't have," and I'm like, "What do I need to do?" And so then I called them back and they got another lawyer that did one of those things. Like I said, he took care of it with some fire extinguisher or something, pay a $50 fine.
Right.
So, it was actually paid to them, but I cut it off. But that stuff, worthless.
Exactly. Hey, a story to go along with your cleavage story there. Louisville Truck Show's coming up. This will be the first time in 31 or 32 years that I won't be there. On a year they had it. Obviously, the years that it got skipped for whatever reason, I wasn't there. But this will be the first time that the show's going on, and I won't be there in like 31 or 32 years. One year we were there. We've been in the same corner of the show for a long time. And when I say we would get as many of our vendors and partners together that, and we'd all be in the same area. So people would come to the show and they'd be able to see a lot of the stuff we always talk about right there. But we're kind of in this weird little corner where it transitions from one building to another, and all the traffic flows right through a couple doors right there. And it's right by so it's always just crowded right there, and you can't move. And we get a lot of traffic anyway, so that made it worse. And then one year, somebody right across the aisle from all of us decided to bring in like 10 Hooters girls you could not move.
Wow.
It was awful. You couldn't move in that corner of the building. Yeah.
And no wings.
Exactly. And no wings. You're right. Where's the wings and the beer? That's what I'm looking for.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, and it's hard to keep a conversation when you got something like that in your eye.
Well, and of course, they're taking pictures with everybody, so that's starting to back things up. But, what a disaster.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll get off here so you can get some others. But, great. And like I said, Cardio Miracle, I try to do one in the morning, one at night. I mean, it's great. all the products. I still got stuff. I need to order some stuff Friday, tomorrow. So
Oh, good.
anyway,
Good.
love you guys. I'll let you get at it. All right, bye.
Thank you. Appreciate the support. We really do. Let's go to Wisconsin. Sarah, welcome to the program. Hey, Sarah.
Yeah.
I know what you're calling for, and I'm going to have to give you a little bit of a hard time here.
Okay.
One of the most notorious people that was kicked off of Twitter, he was on the president's Dirty Dozen for spreading the most misinformation and disinformation. And just up until a couple of days ago, I tried to post something from him, and they wouldn't allow it on Twitter because of the link. So who I'm talking about is Dr. Mercola. He's back on Twitter today. So one of the most notorious people to get kicked off of Twitter for this stuff is back on, and somehow you managed to get yourself banned. What have you been doing? Permanently. I know.
I retweeted one tweet, and it was for Grow, Forage, Cook, just what to forage in the wintertime. And then I like you and a bunch of other people, doctors and stuff like that, and I was following them. And now it says I'm following 0 people, and I'm not allowed to do anything but read. And they say, but I go to the following, and then it says you're permanently suspended, and you should follow these people. And it shows me Biden and all these other people. I'm like,
So here's the funny thing. I really do believe Elon is trying. This is how bad the algorithm was. They're still trying to find all the problems in the code. I really believe that he's doing everything he can to get people reinstated, to get accounts back up and running. But there's still stuff like this going on.
Even that page where it says, if you believe we have made an error, please appeal. You click the appeal, and it says, sorry, page not found.
Yeah, I know. I hate to laugh, but the whole Twitter thing is just kind of funny. And seriously, Elon is very, very active on there every day. And some of his responses and some of his tweets are just hilarious. And it's making people crazy. But the algorithm is nowhere near fixed yet.
Right. I don't know.
I think it's kind of funny that you were bad enough that you got permanently banned.
Yeah. The person who carefully reviewed my account didn't like my one retweet about foraging up in the wintertime. I don't know.
Yeah. Crazy.
Anyway, I'm excited about the news with the Cardio Miracle. I like the pouch idea better than the containers. Not be so bulky, I think.
I wasn't going to mention it to John, but I'm a little disappointed that we're moving away from the containers. And it's a very selfish reason.
Oh, yeah.
So
why?
Well, so the manufacturing process, there's just stuff you have to deal with every now and then. And it happens fairly often, and these are big tubs. There's like 90 servings in there. But occasionally you'd get a little breach in the seal, and we would see powder on the outside of the container. And as soon as we open a package, if there's any powder, those get set aside. And, we contacted them and say, hey, we have these. There's a little bit of powder on them. We're not going to sell these. And they would say, well, we'll just keep them and we'll replace them. So for the most part, the employees and myself, we kind of get our Cardio Miracle at no cost because we take those damaged products. Well, now that they're moving to the pouch, that isn't going to happen anymore.
Well, you can't say it's never going to happen.
Probably, but the pouch is the odds of a pouch leaking really pretty slim. So I think that's another big advantage to this. Where those tubs, it was regular enough that we had a lot of damaged containers around.
Anyways, you might be able to.
It's not even an obvious leak. It's just that if there was dust on it, we knew it leaked at some point. Even if we can't see it now, we could probably wipe them off and sell them, but we don't. We do care about quality and quality control. So the pouch is a good idea.
Yes. As you might be able to hear, I need to take Duke for a walk. We're heading on our way to Virginia.
There you go.
Out of the frozen tundra.
Yeah. We're heading to California tomorrow, but I'm not sure we're getting out of the bad weather. I think it's snowing down there.
Yes, I heard there was about 3 feet of snow in the mountains outside San Diego, where Vic's daughters live.
Wow. Crazy.
But we might see it in LA. We're
knows?
headed that way.
All right. We're staying I think we're just a little northeast of Anaheim. We're out in the hills, a place called Tribuca Canyon. I've never heard of it before, but we found a house out there. So that's where we'll be.
Nice. Safe travels. Maybe we'll see you down there.
All right. Thanks for the call. Good stuff. All right. We are going to wrap this up, and then we will be back in less than 10 minutes with Rolling Toe. So stick around for that. They will be launching right at 10 o'clock Pacific time. Tomorrow is a recorded show. I will be back live from the road on Monday. I am, as soon as we get through Rolling Toe here, I have got a new piece of equipment that I'm really hoping I can get to work before tomorrow for the mobile, because I don't want to drag all my equipment with me. So that's my project for the rest of the day, and we'll see you back here live on Monday. Be safe, be profitable, be fit and healthy. Always do the hard work and master the journey.